Morning, everybody. Had a good day in the market yesterday, so I hope everybody was prepared for the moves that we got. We finally seen something out of Rocket that we were looking for, so let's talk about it. All right. It's about an hour to the market open, so let's not waste time. We got to go. All right. First up, as always, going to be actually the S&P 500. And the S&P 500 is making new highs. We got a new high at 6,147, and I had a correction yesterday. I was calling the S&P the Ethereum, but it wasn't. It's the S&P Mini 500. But anyway, when we get to that, we'll talk about that. But anyhow, we got a little movement up, up to here at around 6,147. All right, giving us a new high, and we'll have to see if it wants to continue climbing. Actually, that was where it bumped his head in the pre-market. It pulled back a little bit, so expect a little bit of a dip and then a retest of that high. If that continues to be a problem, then we're probably going to pull back, gather the forces, and come back and try to take that wall again. Next up is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's trying to push a little bit higher. This morning hit about 97.58. So we're just above this yellow line here that we were trying to consider as a good resistance area. But actually it wasn't. It's kind of probably more down around in here somewhere. And that range is where we were actually kind of bouncing around in. So I'll correct that, but I may even just take it all the way out since it's not really doing anything. Maybe this is our line that we might use for our support and resistance area, because currently we're still in this channel heading downward, and this is starting to act as resistance, but not very much. It bounced through it in the pre-market, so we'll see what happens, and we'll adjust accordingly on that. In fact, just in the confusion now, let's just get rid of it. All right, so we're in between 107 and 88 at this point. Looks like we're going back up to retest. Remember, we're in this channel heading down. We got this overhead 20 SMA acting as resistance coming up. But so far it's trying to look like it wants to go back up and retest this top of this channel. But we'll have to see what happens once the 20 SMA gets down here, if it gets rejected by the 20. Alright. So, yeah, the Bitcoin is trying to look a little positive this morning. We got our 200 and 150 coming up. Has some support as well, so we have to see what happens when we turn around. Yeah, Bitcoin is trying to look a little positive this morning. We'll have to see what happens as the days roll on. Same thing, Bitcoin overhead resistance. It didn't on this one. The Bitcoin USD, it's still below these moving averages, so we'll see what happens. But the other one was the futures, that's USD. Oil continues to look like it wants to move positive. Right now it's dealing with these moving averages coming down, acting as resistance. Bounced off this area here at around $73. And in the pre-market, like it's going back to retest it and see if it can get through it. So keep an eye on oil, see what happens with that. But it is running into some resistance in this area, so you'll need a big push to get through. Next up is the E-mini S&P Index Futures. This is the one I was calling Ethereum, and it's not. It's the same thing as the S&P, the one we were looking at before. The S&P 500 Index. Alright, so sorry if you saw my video yesterday morning and I confused you on that. I confused myself, to be honest with you. When I saw that ETH on there, I'm like, what is that there? So anyhow, But yeah, as you can see, it's still running into some resistance in this area. It popped up to about 61, 665 yesterday here, this one, but then got rejected and closed below it. Or, it made a new high, but it's still in the pre-market. It's opening up below this area, so it got rejected. And currently, it's looking like it wants to pull back. So you could try buying the dip because, as you can see, they're buying it back up with these pointers. But at some point, they're gonna run out of strength, and if they don't get through, they're gonna come back down and gather their forces. Next up is now this one's Ethereum here. All right, and as you can see, it's still around $2,000 where I was thinking it was at before. So we got up to as high as 4,000, but we're back down around 2,000 right now. And it looks like in the morning it wants to continue higher here, so it's trying to make a move back up. It's got this window overhead that it needs to reconcile, so it maybe want to go and close that window before continuing the sell off. But we'll have to see what happens with that. But right now it looks like it's trying to go back bullish again. The moving averages are flat also, so with the support in the 8 and 9, we can push up through those and get above this 20 and use that as a springboard to bounce up through our trade winds. But we have to see what happens. It's currently pre-market wants to go higher, so be nimble with Ethereum as it tries to decide what it wants to do. Same thing here with a little less noise in the way. But yeah, trying to get up through here. Got our moving averages coming over to act as resistance, so it's going to be a nice little fight, a little battle going on in here before we can be sure. It's going to have to come in with a lot of juice to get through there. So be careful with Ethereum if you're trying to go long. Next up is gold, and gold got a little pullback, ran into some resistance here in this area still. Got up above it, but sold back off, and so now it's pre-market down here somewhere around 29.60, and let's see what happens if it was enough to give it pause and make it want to come back down in here and gather the troops to head back out, or if it's going to want to try to come down there and give it another try. We have to wait and see what happens with gold. Currently in the pre-market, looks like it wants to sell off, but like I said, we got an hour to the market open, so I wouldn't bank on that until the market opens. Next up is natural gas, and natural gas got a little bit of a pullback, big bar here, sell signal, but didn't take this bar out yet, so not really a panic signal. I wouldn't consider that a sell yet until if it had taken these two bars out, then I'd be like, oh Lord, run for the hills. But right now it looks like it might just trying a healthy pullback like it did in here, but not as bad as it did here when it just kept selling off and took out all these bars. All right, so but yeah, keep an eye on nat gas. Look for some support in here at 3.93. I think that's what it is. Yeah, $3.93. That doesn't support, then you might want to be careful. Look for the continuing sell-off to the downside. But currently, it's still bullish, but having a little bit of a pullback. Maybe a 2-bar pullback and take off. Who knows? We have to see what happens. All right. Next up, but look for your support in this area if you're going long natural gas. Next up is the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ put in these 3 dojis. So a lot of indecision going on in here. Got rejected up here, and now it's running into some problems here. So be careful with the NASDAQ also. Looks like it might want to pull back and retest the support area before re-attempting to get through this area. And then it's got to support and get through this area. Or maybe we can get just enough strength to blow through this like it did down here where it sold off, that big old bar. So maybe we can get all this that they took, maybe they'll throw it back in and push it back through there. But we have to see what happens with the the NASDAQ 100 index futures, because currently looking kind of weak, like it wants to sell off. So next up is silver, and silver still looking bullish. Look for some support in this area here at $33. So if you do get a little bit of pullback in the silver, you could probably buy the dip. Use this 29.50 as your support area, and it could be a pretty decent trade if I decide I want to do that. If I was trading silvers, currently I'm not, but if I was, I would probably put my stop down in here somewhere and figure out how much it's going to cost me to risk to go between here and that, retesting that 34.24. But currently pre-market looks like it wants to open up at around 33.62, so get it down in here somewhere and make a dollar run for it. Personally, I'd rather get it down in here somewhere and make a $4 run for it. Alright, we're back. And you see that one looks like the Dow, huh, kind of. Got these two dojis. Dow had three, though. Try to flip back and forth fast enough so I don't put you to sleep. I know it had two. It's got this thing that's happening this morning, which is the red bar coming in for the pullback this morning. So yeah, Apple, two dojis set to open up. Looked like it popped up to about 244, but it's red, so it maybe gapped up and then sold off to about 244. So so far we're set to open up below this bar here. Well, not so much. Yeah, we'll be above it, but anyway, we'll see what happens with Apple. But currently some indecision going on right now, so be careful with that. And there's, like I said, the Dow looks kind of weak, and the NASDAQ is looking kind of, well, not the NASDAQ, but the NASDAQ is looking kind of weak also. So and let's see what the Russell's doing. And the Russell is, it's looking weak also. Pre-market is down here somewhere. So be careful with these guys. They look like they're trying to sell off a little bit today. Maybe get a little pullback and then take off into the last day of trading on Friday and try to redeem themselves on the last day of the week. But that remains to be seen. Next up is what's this APP one? So APP ran into some resistance up here at 525.15. Hasn't been able to get back up above it. Now set to open up at around 4. Set to open up down here. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of a pullback in this one. So be careful with it. You may want to reconcile this window before going higher. It just doesn't appear to have had enough to continue that move at the moment. So be careful with that one. Cheesecake Factory ran into some resistance at 56, came back, got some support in here. Now it's back to retest, so keep an eye on Cheesecake Factory. Looks like it may want to continue on. Had its earnings on the 19th, which it did good in its earnings. I don't know what they said as far as their forecasting, but earnings weren't so bad on Cheesecake Factory yesterday. Alright, but it is in the pre-market selling off. It is about 53.01, so down around here somewhere. So look for some support at around $52, or actually maybe even down here somewhere. That was a previous high, turned resistance because of the new high, so that may not be our support area, but we'll see what happens. We may have to readjust that to down in here somewhere. Alright, we'll see what happens though. Or we might have to get rid of it altogether and maybe we're just in this big channel. Alright, anyway, just thinking out loud, hope you heard me. Next up is Chipotle. And Chipotle is giving us what we were looking for. That sell-off that we knew that was coming is just taking the long way to get there. Currently it's at about 53.77. Set to maybe open up around there. Right, so in here somewhere. So we'll see what happens with Chipotle. We might get a little bit of a little more sell-off to this morning and get a little bounce on Friday, but I wouldn't hold it through the weekend. I don't think that would be safe. All right, and yeah, I'm gonna leave that there to the last minute, and I'll probably actually I'll just move it. I'll move it now because I ain't trying to buy no more. I just want them to think I am, because I'm on the, I'm excuse me, I play mental games with myself and with my with Thinkorswim. So if there are some kind of things in the background working against me, they'll they'll kind of actually help me in a way, because I'm actually got, even though I'm long, I have puts also that I'm playing, so I'm hedging my position by buying puts on the way down, so that way I can have gains and losses at the same time. All right. And when they finally decide to turn around, I can sell my puts and buy some more. All right. That's how I'm playing that game. If I'm doing it wrong, please let me know. All right. Next up is Rocket Lab. And Rocket Lab finally gave us the indication that we've been looking for on that one. And we got the sell-off yesterday. And so, yeah. Look for some continuation on Rocket Lab. I think we're going to most likely continue to sell off, come back down in here, maybe find some support for a little bit, and then come down and close this window down around $14. Rocket Lab is has been a long time favorite, but it's not one that I anyway, Rocket Lab's a long time favorite, so but I do trade it. I don't, I'm not long terming it like I do some of the others, just because recently it's starting to show, as more and more people get into the space race, it's starting to show that it, is viable in that area. But now that the government's involved, we got to be careful with this one to see if the Musk is trying to, slow all these activities that a lot of these big boys are doing. And I'm sure they're not going to let him go too far with his antics when he starts messing with too many pockets. And it might be part of the whole plan, so let me quit rambling about that. Alright, so we're showing some weakness in our Rocket Lab. We may be getting to the top of our hill and heading back down. Alright, so keep an eye on that. It might chop around before heading all the way down, but it looks like it's ready to put that mountain in. Alright, So we might be on the backside of the mountain heading down. All right, let's do a little Tesla. Tesla tried to get a little bounce yesterday, um, but and like I said, Tesla, you just gotta be careful with it. All right, it is trying to get through this resistance area, so keep an eye on it. Hit $367. It hit and got rejected. So I think it's going to try to retest that area in here. Maybe this might be our resistance area right here on Tesla. Yeah. So let's see if we get a retest of this area. And we'll see what happens. It's at 375.87. Alright, so keep an eye on that with Tesla. Alright. 375.87. Let's see if it can get through that, find some support, and continue to retest these other highs, or if it gets rejected. So be careful with that. If you're just trading it, maybe get a little pop. That's 375. We're at about 362 right now. So it's at $7, $362, $15 move. If we can get back up to this 375 line right here. So it looks like it's way off, huh? And then you get in there and you go to the micro, and it's like, it ain't gotta go nowhere. 2-minute chart, 367's right here, which retest that high, and then we were trying to get all the way up here, which just half of that move yesterday from here. Yeah, up half. We got that one. I was sitting about a little below half, trying to go make that other push up. So, all right, so keep an eye on Tesla. Might be trying to make that push up. Today might not be a good day for it, but Tesla doesn't really move with the rest of the market anyway. It's its own market. So, we may get that push. Putting in this little bottom here. Some people like to call it a bowl or whatever, punch bowl, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes it looks more like a cup and handle in the run, and sometimes it looks like a fry pan bottom in the run, but whatever you want to call it, it looks bullish at the moment on the 2-minute chart. All right. On the daily, okay, looks like we're just getting a little bit of a bounce. Like that ball just came and going boom, boom, boom. So, all right. So, just be careful out there. Like I always say, these markets are crazy. Texas Roadhouse, I hadn't mentioned that one in a while. It's about almost 35 minutes to the market open, so I'm going to cut this short so I can get it out to you. But yeah, we got Texas Roadhouse bouncing around in here, and the moving averages still causing trouble, but can't do much with anything. Then you got Palantir finally gave us an indication that it was getting tired and hit a wall up here at 125, put in a nice bar that took out all this previous stuff. So currently it's sitting down around here at around 106. I don't know what to tell you about Palantir, to be honest with you. It kind of moves how it wants, but this bar right here kind of tells me to run for the hills. But we'll have to see what happens. They may try to get a retest before continuing that sell-off, and so we might be getting into that mountain. We might be at the mountaintop on that one too, and starting to roll over. And it may not roll over quickly, but don't fall asleep on it. Sometimes you'll sit there and they'll lull you to sleep, messing around, chopping around, and next thing you know, it's back down here, and you're stuck holding the bag. All right, so be careful with the Palantir. Don't let it be sneaky on you and lull you to sleep, and then next thing you know, you're at a deficit. All right, that's all I got this morning. I hope you guys are liking and subscribing and catching the notification bell, because I'm hitting this stuff in the mornings. I try to get in the evening, but some evenings I look at the charts and I'm like, I don't want to mention anything till morning. So Most likely you'll catch me in the morning on these. I'll try to get them out at least 30 minutes before the market opens so you can look them over, listen to them, or whatever. But you know, and I'm trying to figure out how to splice them so you can and label them to where you can see, whichever particular stock you're really more interested in. Um, you can get an idea of what I'm talking about or what I'm looking at for that day. All right. So anyway, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.